flags, raise the flags. Hit them fast, secure the bag. Don't even blink, make them walk the plank. Light them up, let's make them sing. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. On Bucs, yeah, we on. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The whole field's already. Let me give you 55 reasons why this is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
Welcome back to Buc What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buc What You Heard on Twitter. You follow me, I will follow you back. I've been getting quite a few followers. I'm happy. You know, guys, pretty random. I talk about everything. We're getting towards the back end of the season, and we've got a couple more games. Let's, enjoy these games while we have them, because the off season will be here before you know it. I'm joined by my co-host, KB. How you doing tonight, my friend?
It's nice to be home. It's nice have the holidays coming up.
Oh, yeah,
but we all got that little salty taste in our mouths. Me especially.
You know what I do in cases like that? I put on the Minnesota Miracle, and I just feel so much better. Feel so much better about myself.
Put it to Celine Dion with a bubble bath and a little glass of champagne.
Yeah, I play that to a little bit of Whitney Houston and the Minnesota Miracle, and I feel good after that. So, But
it was fun though. I don't know if I told you, but I wound up going with Pless to the game. So shout out Pless out there, and we had a great time. Bradley Pinion was probably the worst. The thing that we most agreed on in terms of things wrong with that game. But it was fun to meet him. Met Jay as well. Had a nice little barbecue session there. Tailgating. It was fun. It was nice to meet everyone.
Jay with the superior mullet.
Oh, the best mullet in the game
ever.
He's like my size too, Gene.
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah, and real nice. I mean,
nicest guy ever.
It's funny when you think about Tampa. I think about people like him. I had friends like him that I used to go fishing with, and go and hang out with, and it was a real good guy. So you got to make fun. You got to make the game fun, and I'm glad you went out there and had a good time. And we won't bring up that you don't like Cuban sandwiches at all. We'll just kind of gloss over that part of it. But
Italians are better.
Jesus Christ, man. You're trying to start another war here. You're well on your way. But this is going to be a wild ride down to the end. And I do have something up here. They're talking about the tough injuries. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. We've got some serious injuries. Number one, first and foremost, Chris Godwin. I hope that he gets well and he comes back, and he's 100% when he's ready next year. True talent, and he was sorely missed in that game against the Saints. And then Mike Evans with the soft tissue injury again. I was and this is bad to say, but I was expecting it earlier in the season. I was shocked that he played through the season as long as he did. But I appreciate what he's done for this team as well. And then of course Leonard Fournette. So
we're forgetting the most important though, Gene.
Yeah. Oh,
well, second most important to me behind Godwin, Levante David.
Yes, Levante David.
Basically going to go on IR.
Yep, and we may not see him. We probably won't see him till week one of the playoffs. So it is what it is, and
would have been great to have a bye, Gene.
Yeah, not like last year. You got to laugh so you don't cry. But
that's true.
Again, these are games that coaching. There's I'm not going to dwell on that last game, but there's enough blame to go around for everybody, and that includes questionable calls and you can the whole nine. But I'm not gonna get in there. I'm not gonna point fingers because at the end of the day the Bucs didn't win, so it is what it is.
I mean, it started with the physicality. I mean, we knew the Saints were gonna bring it, but did you see Jensen get involved in anything? I mean, I saw C.J. Gardner-Johnson Jr. the third all up in Tom Brady's grill.
Yeah,
no one really there. Like, I mean, Wirfs got beat by Karen Jordan. We saw
Yeah,
Kappa
Karen.
early in the game get absolutely destroyed by Mr. Jordan. And I mean, from start to finish, I mean, the Saints were literally just playing, I'm literally calling it a Madden defense, too high man the
Yeah.
entire game. We
Mhm.
couldn't beat it. The one drive where Brady resulted in that fumble, you can see the Saints switching to a one high, and that's when Gronk got involved, and the Bucs were super successful. But after Brady fumbled, they never went back to a single high. It was too high the whole game. Never blitzed, Gene.
Yeah.
They didn't even need
And
to.
they didn't need to. They were eating that game. So again, it's just something with the New Orleans Saints. I remember the Chicago Bears when it was the NFC North division. Chicago Bears always had Tampa's number. It's just one of those teams that no matter what they do, no matter who the coach is, no matter who's under center, Chicago, the Buccaneers could just not beat Chicago consistently. And it's New Orleans has kind of picked up that mantle, and it's just kind of been that way since we've, been in the NFC South division the way it is. So just one of those things. And at the end of the day, you got to figure out a way to win. Uh, I will say this: I do believe that when you look at this whole thing, uh, there's enough blame to go around. I mean, coaching, you got to get creative when you when you lose players, when you have players that are out, you have to play to the strengths of the players that you have. And I'm sorry, I didn't see that. And yeah, I totally agree. Brady Brady, this wasn't Brady's best game. I don't know what it is about New Orleans. If they've got like some kind of root or something like that, if there's a voodoo doll somewhere. I'm going to Jamaica this year, and I'm going to see if I can. I'm going back. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to kind of lift this curse because something is just not right.
Well, and it's crazy, Gene, because at the game, I thought Brady had probably his worst game, or probably his second worst game to the Saints game last year as a Buck. But he actually put some throws on Gronk, on Brait, on Tyler Johnson. We must have had at least 10 or 11 drops. Like it was kind of ridiculous out there, especially the ones from Gronk. Like there was one where he literally didn't even have a defender in it. He literally just took his two hands and like spiked it towards the ground. It was kind of ridiculous. But I mean, yeah, Brady didn't play that well, but I think part of that had to do with pressure. I mean, his first play of the game was a near interception, and then I feel like after that, it took probably 2, 3, 4 series before they even wanted to do anything. But then by that time, Godwin's out, Evans is out,
Yeah,
Scotty Miller. We're learning he's a fourth, fifth guy. He's the guy you put in with Evans, with AB, with Godwin. You put him in with that, and that's his package to shine. He can't shine on his own. Tyler Johnson, he's not ready for the big time yet.
yeah.
Again, he's another guy you flip in there with those high valued studs who doesn't get the double teams, and you know it is what it is. But
But
to
again,
me,
I think it all depends on the coach, the coaching staff. Like I said, and again, I'm giving the devil his due. Sean Payton manufactures plays. He can have the shittiest offense that there is out there. He manufactures plays, and he doesn't do it on a consistent basis, but he works with what he has. And fortunately for New Orleans, they had a defense that pretty much carried the team, and that's just pretty much how it was. Now, moving forward, as I watch the rest of the season, I'll be watching very intently to see what New Orleans does because I'm really curious to see if they're how they're tackling, how they're playing, that kind of thing. Because people are there. I guess the room is split. Were there some dirty hits? Were there some low hits? Were there some questionable hits? And I watched the play with was it PJ Williams? I watched a couple of plays with PJ Williams, and I had to go back to look at him and see, is that just his style of play, or was that like specific for this game that they were playing this way? But there were a lot of fucking players that ended up getting injured. You gotta have to exclude Mike Evans because that was a soft tissue injury, but there were some, I don't know, there were just some plays that you kind of scratch your head. But again, this is what you want your referees to all do, You just let them play. If they're going to play, just call it. Be consistent. If that's how it's going to be. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's my issue, Gene. So I literally just drew up the entire Bucs offense for the entire game.
That's it.
This is literally the only play. So this is Godwin running over the middle, and sometimes they would stop in the middle rather than continue their route. Gronk, right. X, and the flanker were all just running up the field, and then you had the swing passes to Lenny.
Right.
I mean, this was the issue. You can't score off points against
fast.
too high. Now, what happened the week before, Gene, when we played the Bills? We ran that mesh concept. We had multiple people crossing each other on the field on man coverage.
What happened to that? What happened to all that?
It just, and this is my problem. And, I've been getting so much shit from people on Twitter to Jake Arians to whatever, because my whole focus this entire year has been on Byron Leftwich. I've said it on this podcast. I say it every week. Todd Bowles, I understand what's going on there. On the weeks where we have really bad weeks, I understand the process. Leftwich, I just don't get it. There's no consistency. There's no identity. There's no flow. And he turned it on last year in the playoffs. I'm going to give the devil his due there.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it now. Like the Saints know what play is coming. Godwin's the only guy running over the middle. So that safety is going to cheat up because they know that Jalen Darden's not going to beat Marshawn Lattimore. They know that. They know Scotty, if he's flanked on the other side of the field, that safety on not Scotty's side can just cheat up. And that's what happened. PJ Williams is right there. Godwin gets the same pass that he caught it 6 or 7 times in a row. And he's right there. I mean,
he got lit up.
I don't think it's a play that, is. Part of me wishes that the referees would control that in terms of
you really can't
giving because that's still leading with your helmet. It's not to someone else's helmet, but that's not a good tackling form we want players to be encouraged to do.
But until the Players Association, until the competition committee does something about it.
But they're worried about taunting more than they are plays like this. Yeah. And also they didn't call. And you know what, Gene? If they called the taunting for what C.J. Gardner-Johnson did with Brady, fine. If they want to call the penalty for what Brady did going to the Saints sideline and basically saying, go F yourself to all of them, these are taunting penalties they need to call, but they're not doing it.
Yeah. There's
no consistency anywhere across any primetime game, Gene. When we play the Falcons at 1:00, there's no issues with the referees. When we play the Panthers at 1:00, there's no issues with the referees. Heck, even the Bills at 4:05 or whatever it was, there's generally a pretty consistent game called for both sides. Yes, people will argue the Stephon Diggs thing, but you know what? Both teams were playing, aggressive with their corners. You could argue each way, whatever. But these primetime games, it doesn't matter who it is. Gene, what's up, Josh Cole? It doesn't matter who it is. We saw it Monday night. We saw it Tuesday night. We saw it Sunday night. We see it every primetime game. These referees can't be consistent, and they always choose one side.
And I've said that in the beginning of the season. I said this is going to be a problem. I don't care who your team is. They're not consistently calling stuff.
Absolutely not.
And again, if Bucs fans, if you want New Orleans to shut the hell up, beat them. They have to lose. You have to beat them, and you have to just shut it down. That's how you shut down the talk. That's why Karen Jordan didn't say anything after Drew Brees was retired last year. Didn't hear anything from that clown all off season. But now he's emboldened because they swept the Bucs. This is their 2 Super Bowl wins. This is probably about as good as it gets. And you know what? I'm going to take a page out of the Miami Dolphins book. And as soon as they get eliminated or choke in the playoffs, I'm opening up a bottle of champagne because that's the way it should be. It's to be expected.
Well, now let's introduce Josh.
Yes, of course. I was just getting to that. And,
sorry, Josh, we're on a rant.
We're just kind of ranting here. Joshua Cole Allen from Pewter Report. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, guys. Would have liked to have a win back on Sunday, wrap up that NFC South, keep yourself in contention for that number 1 seed. But, I had a feeling once the Ravens bungled that up, it might not go the Bucs way anyways. It's just something about the Saints team in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's just it's their kryptonite. Tom Brady has struggled against them. Bruce Arians for his career has struggled against them.
I meant to ask you,
they still got the win when it matters most, though. So, I mean, again, as you said, let them have their Super Bowls this year, and they're not going anywhere. But you know, I don't like to point fingers or say anything, you know, that could spark a media storm. But do I think that some certain Saints players were maybe going a little low? Maybe for some revenge on Jameis Winston derailing their season?
Yeah.
It looked like that in some of the all 22.
Well, and what I was Josh, I don't know if you saw the beginning of the podcast, but I literally drew up the Bucs' entire offense. How many times did we hit Godwin on that exact route? The safety up here knows what's coming. They play too high man the entire time. They know, for instance, that Darden's not beating Marshawn Lattimore, and Scotty already has the other, you know, safety. They hit this play like no joke 6 times, however many Godwin sketches were. They were literally on the same play.
Yeah.
And PJ Williams is right there. I mean, he's cheating at a too high safety. He shouldn't be that far up the field. That tells you the Saints knew what was coming. You can argue again whether or not it was dirty or not. Obviously, the Saints have their history, but I don't like that play because A, it's so bang bang, and then B, it's not like a cornerback going after a huge tight end. Like Godwin is not, he's strong, but he's not like Gronk trying to tackle. So there's no real reason to go that low.
Yeah, you know, on the play itself, I mean, you kind of said it. You know, if you're running the same plays over and over and over again, and the Bucs, we've seen it all year. They don't have a real variety of plays that they're calling.
Yeah,
you know, you watch enough film, you watch enough tape, and you've seen what Godwin's been able to do the last couple. You knew it. You know it's coming. I mean, so that allowed him to cheat up there a little bit as well. It's going to be tough to recover from Godwin, but this team's got enough weapons and enough firepower, I think, to be able to get through and, you know, pull together, even if Mike Evans can't play this week.
I have to ask the question, you know, when you talk about because we were talking about creativity.
Yeah.
With the playbook is enormous. And I just feel like, you know, they don't even scratch the surface on the offensive playbook. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but I was thinking that, you know, there's just not enough creativity. They're not playing to players' strengths.
Well, that's exactly what it is too. They're not scheming players open enough, right? You've got these guys, you need to be able to scheme them open. But I was waiting for that entire second half. I mean, obviously the offensive line was struggling. But where was the trick play? Where was something creative, something?
Well, I'll tell you what it was, Josh. It was Ronald Jones. And I am the guy who is throw 75% of the time. I am, in order to beat a team like the Saints, you have to outscore them, even in a 6-0 game. Like, you have to put up 20-some points, like, to beat a team like the Saints. But when Ronald Jones physically takes over the game for an entire drive, and then you hand it to Keyshawn Vaughn on a 3rd and 3, not on a power, which they had run successfully, where Donovan's pulling around, where Alley's pulling around. They run duo against a heavy set, and then they wonder why they didn't get it. And then they put in the wrong running back to do it.
Well, Keyshawn Vaughn, no less. Well, I mean, if you look at it, the one thing that was really alarming was that Rojo was gassed after two. Like, he
didn't play the whole first half.
4 plays. He missed 4 plays in a row, and because he was gassed. That really alarmed me. And then the other one, you know, we went back and forth with this here at Pewter Report, kind of, you know, that play where he caught the ball and ran out of bounds 2 yards was like, is that a play where he should have lowered his shoulder and tried to gain the yards? But you look at it on tape in all 22, and you've got 3 defenders closing in with a cup, with all angles. You see the one guy, I forget what player it was, going low at his knees, and you saw him kind of lift his left knee up and jumped out of bounds. Is that a play? And obviously, it looked like Tom Brady was a little frustrated. He put it, you know, you watch him, he puts his hand up, back in the pocket, had a conversation with Rojo afterwards, but, you know, that's one of those plays too, because we've seen it early in the season. It was a big thing that he ran. I think it was against.
Well, and that's Atlanta. To me, it's the benefit of the doubt.
You know?
We can't give it to Rojo right now because he's pulled one too many going out of bounds
And
when he could have fought for Yak.
It's interesting too, is because let's face it,
think his
Rojo
confidence is
probably
shot.
knows he's not coming back. Bucs probably aren't bringing him back. Is it more of a shit? I got to protect my body. I gotta protect myself.
I feel like Lenny did the same thing last year too, and then look what happened. Like I mean, this is Rojo's time right now. If he's not going to do it now, this is an audition,
and he's going to be off. This signing of Le'Veon Bell says everything you need to know about Bruce's trust factor in Rojo. Rojo will be on
Vaughn.
And that's obvious.
Without saying.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is everyone's just saying Vaughn's the only running back under contract next year, and I'm saying no, he's not.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't proved anything. He's only on a 3-year deal, and he hasn't not proved anything at all. But that just shows you Rojo's your first and second down back, and you got Bell in there for pass blocking purposes. And if they designed some plays for him to get out there and catch the ball as a receiver, they know he's got reliable hands. The fact that they brought Le'Veon Bell, who's been on the couch for 6 weeks. He's not been on the couch. He's been in the boxing gym training training
to go against Jake Paul.
Yeah, so
right.
Like the fact that they brought him in, it's like, okay, they really don't trust Rojo in pass protection. And while he caught the ball all right, it was what he did after he caught the ball. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
And I'm going to say this. I think that his confidence is shot. I'm just going to say it. And there have been opportunities where they could have had him in. They could have rotated him in, earlier in the year.
Well, you've heard.
I always say this. You go with your hot hand. And Lenny's been hot.
You've heard Bruce puppy dog him all season long, though. Yeah. Anytime after a game, I thought Rojo, when he got the opportunities, ran really well. Rojo
he only play him one series.
Ran really hard.
He would always play the first series after the first or the start of the second half, and you wouldn't see Rojo again.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a confidence thing. I agree with you, Eugene. I think it's a confidence thing with him, and I think it's not just a confidence in his ability or a confidence in his role. It's also a confidence in the fact that. Next year with this team, where I don't know where I stand in this team. How can I give my all? How can I put my body on the line for this team when I'm probably not going to be here next year?
Especially when Brady has favorites.
Exactly. Brady clearly has favorites.
And that is a great point, though, protecting your body, because he wants to be somewhere else. He's going to be somewhere else, and he's going to get opportunity to make a little bit of money wherever he goes. I mean, just based on what he does, because not every team is passing to their running backs.
Throw Rojo on Baltimore, and then I want to see what he can actually do.
Exactly. Yeah. This offense demands a lot from its running back and pass protection, and running the ball. There's definitely run plays on here that don't fit what Rojo could do best, and he can go to another team, and he's still the best pure rusher. I mean, ask anybody around. He's the best pure rusher, instinctual rusher, the most burst on this team. It's just the way that they use the running game doesn't really fit what he does, and because he's not a complete back. A 3-down back, it really limits how often you can put him in there because it's an easy tell, and that's what we've been saying for the past 3 years about Rojo is, or at least 2 years. That first year doesn't count, but it's an easy tell. He's not a 3-down back. And no matter if he's out in Arizona catching 500 passes a year and working on his pass protection, it just hasn't come along for him. That's not what he is.
It's not natural because
it's not, exactly, and it never will be.
Yeah. And that's why I say he needs to be in a system where, okay, we're going to hand you the ball and you do what you do. Like Cleveland, you look at I guess Cleveland's kind of a bad example because Nick Chubb can't catch the ball. Their running back core can catch if they need to.
I think Nick Chubb's a better receiver than what he gets credit for. Yeah, I mean, he does. Have you seen obviously you both have. The way that the running backs drop the ball is literally unprecedented. I don't see any other running back have this poor of hands across the board. And then even like Lenny had his troubles last year. And then all of a sudden he discovered he was Le'Veon Bell with no burst and could somehow find this side-to-side swivel. Because
the year before he joined the Bucs, he had 76 catches through the air. And even going out, he still leads all running backs with receptions. And I think he's third on the team too. So it's really interesting how that played out. How 1 year he can't catch the ball. He had his struggles in week one week 1, and then he just turns onto this amazing pass catching back. Still run, and also improved as a pass protector as well. And then once they started featuring him in the running game, that's the thing. We're getting into playoff football, and that's when you lean heavily on your running back. We saw it last year. Even though this is a pass first team, they're going to need Rojo to step up. And they need it to happen, and they need to squeeze as much as they can out of Le'Veon Bell. And I know both, all three of us watch Le'Veon, and we're like, the minute this wasn't like
he's literally going to catch those swing passes.
God, Le'Veon Bell! We're like, oh, Le'Veon Bell. Really?
I don't know. I think the New York Jets sucked the last of the life out of him that he had left. He just when he held out. After he held out, he was never the same player.
Kids never hold out.
The one thing that really, listening to him speak, he sounds like a little kid. He's like, he's really excited. This is the one team that I was going to join. I'll just retire. I was thinking about retiring. If any team, I'm very excited for the opportunity, blessed for the opportunity to come here and play with guys like, Brady and Gronk and, back with AB and like, that does something to players sometimes. That can reinvigorate you a little bit,
even Shady was a big reason why we won that Minnesota game last year.
And I was just going that direction too, because I'm on the fence about Le'Veon Bell because I remember the production you got out of Shady, and that's why I was excited for who's the running back that got hurt?
Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, there you go.
Gio.
So when Gio came in, I expected more out of him. Is he done for the year?
No, he's going to be like in the playoffs. Yeah. Wow. He's another guy, Gene.
That's crazy.
Power up by drinking Celsius.
Ooh, sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast.
Celsius, huh? I'm going to have to I'll have to check into that.
I got him at Costco.
If you're going to drink energy drinks, like I stopped drinking Red Bulls and Bangs and Monster and all that stuff a while ago. Like I was like, the first time I had a Celsius was after Bucs rookie mini camp, and I met John for the first time. He was drinking a Celsius. I'm like, are those really? I mean, I see it on the podcast. He's like, trust me, dude. Trust me. Get one. I'll get it. So I stopped at the gas station on my way. I'm like, this is actually really good. And it's like good for you-ish for an energy drink. And I didn't have a crash. I was like, damn.
What? No crash? Are you serious?
No, there's no crash. I'm like, damn, he's got me. He was right.
Well, I
didn't want him to be right at all. I want to be like, yeah, Celsius, Schmelsius. But no, I mean, it's.
Hey, Gene, we're always looking for sponsors.
There we go. Hey, I'll definitely try it.
Sponsor Camille.
But I want to get your input. Bucs have 3 games left.
Yep.
Panthers, Jets, Panthers. Is that right?
Correct.
Jets,
at Panthers, at Jets.
2 road games, 1 away.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 home.
So. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, you got Cam Newton after he said I'm back. I think he cursed himself and.
Sam Darnold might start this week.
Yep.
Matt Rule's thinking about it.
Yep. Matt Rule is worried about his job right now because everybody in Carolina hates him and they hate his family and they just hate everything.
Which is crazy because a month ago he was the hottest thing because Cam had the I'm back game. They just got what's his face from the Patriots. Like they were riding high there.
I know. Yeah. And then Joe Brady gets fired and I'm still on the fence about that. I don't think they have a talent to really run an offense, a Joe Brady offense. They just don't have the horses to do it.
I know.
But they had to give that sacrificial lamb up, and I don't know. I think Joe Brady is a good offensive coordinator personally. What do I know?
Yeah. I mean, you look at this Panthers team; they present matchup problems for sure. I mean, especially if the offensive line is going to come out and play the way they did last week. I don't think they will. I think they'll take that, what happened last week, and respond to it very well. But they've got a plethora of good pass rushers that can get after the quarterback. You're talking about guys like Brian Burns, Hassan Reddick, Yetur Gross.
I know Brian Burns is that guy. He is the physical talent. Hassan Reddick has had an amazing season.
Yes,
if you want to look at the stats, because I know everyone wants to give Shaq Barrett for all the sack problems this year. Look at Hassan Reddick sacks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. He's been balling out. 11 sacks this season, 2 forced fumbles. So he's been having. But you know what? It's. I mentioned the defensive.
This is why you're on here.
I mentioned the defensive line too, and that goes without even mentioning the secondary, who has been really good in the past. They're currently the number 2 ranked pass defense in the league statistically, and it's going to present a challenge for these young players that need to step up. Now, hopefully, AB can be AB. We'll see how long he can go. That's the question, right? How many snaps is he going to be able to play? Bruce said today that if he needs to tap out for any reason, they'll let him tap out coming in and out. But you're Rashad Perriman. Does Rashad Perriman come back from COVID? That's a big one. If not, you're trotting out AB. You're trotting out Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller. Probably Cyril Grayson gets uplifted this week for the active roster. But I mean, even if you got Rashad Perriman, now you got Perriman, Scotty, and Grayson. You got 3 speedy guys. You really don't have a guy who can do anything near what Godwin can do.
The dirty work in the middle, yeah.
Exactly. And Tyler Johnson, got called out by Bruce saying, he's got to step up. He's got to be a better blocker. He's the second best blocker we have on the team. And, a lot of people were like, oh, Tyler Johnson, mini CG. Well, we'll get to see that now. I don't buy that. He just doesn't have the athleticism.
I think he has great hands. I just don't
skill set, just not the athleticism. That's the thing.
I don't think he's been able to get the reps to get himself in position.
Well, that's the thing. We're gonna see now. He's gonna be the slot guy. He's gonna be
he's got the practice too. Like there's no excuses at this point.
He's gonna be that guy. He's gonna be game planned into the game plan, and he's gonna have to step up. He stepped up big last year against the Saints, and obviously against the Packers too. A lot of people forget that he drew that holding call that pretty much sealed the deal for the Bucs to go to the Super Bowl. So he's gonna have to play. He's gonna have to play out smart. Scotty's gonna have to play dirty. He's gonna have to make those grimy catches that Bruce has said he's not been able. He's gonna have to go out there and use his speed and his body to get some calls, get a DPI. Take off running. The ball's coming. Slow down a little bit. Let the guy run into you. Let them call a bogus DPI because let me tell you something. The Bucs are definitely deserving. Karma's got to come back around in the flag game sometime, and what better time when you got some guys out than this week? So hopefully we'll see that. But Carolina is going to present a myriad of challenges for them on the offensive side. I mean, if the Bucs can come out and play the way they did on defense, even with the weapons that Carolina has, you're talking about. I mean, Cam Booten, as I call him, he's no good. He's no good. Throwing the ball, but he can still run the ball. And we saw what Josh Allen was able to do. Now he's lost a step. He's not as fast as he once able to, but they're going to have some design runs. They're going to look at what Josh Allen was able to do, with design runs up the middle on the outside. They're going to try to get him the ball, and they still got some really good weapons on the outside. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall Jr. if he can get going down the field. So they've got
DJ Moore has been kind of the stone-handed devil this year, though.
Yeah, he has. But I mean, it's the Bucs, and everyone gets up for the Bucs. So,
yeah, they do. This is defending Super Bowl champions. JC, quick question: is Winfield playing this week? Have you heard?
It's gonna be. I think it's.
But we got Mike Edwards at least. Thank God.
I think it's more than. Yeah, Mike Edwards is back. He looks great. I think it's more likely than not that Winfield plays. But at the same time, if you're sitting a guy like Mike Evans, if you're sitting Fournette and Levante David, who haven't been officially placed on IR yet, and you've got Mike Edwards back, and this is just how I feel personally, sit him. Wait till he's 100%. The last thing you want him to do is re-aggravate something that's going to knock him out.
Especially soft tissue. Like, I mean, I think, what's his face? Winfield's more a foot. I don't know if that's a muscle thing or if it's a bone thing. I don't know. But, like, I'm operating on the assumption. I want this. I mean, if the Bucs win one game, they clinched the division. They're getting a home playoff game. And I'd mentioned to Gene earlier before the podcast came on, if we go 3-0, the Rams go 3-0, and the Cowboys go 3-0, we're still the 4th seed.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So just win the game. If they're not ready for this game, you still have the Jets, and then you also have a home game against the Panthers. It's not the end of the world. Even if you lose, it would suck. But for instance, Andrew Adams isn't a free safety. Mike Edwards, we've seen he doesn't drop the ball. Taysom Hill gave Andrew Adams a chance 6-0.
Winfield makes that play.
Edwards makes that play too.
Yeah.
because it wasn't Cam Newton. That's why he didn't catch it. But
there's a couple plays, that could have been, should have been, would have been, but yeah,
I think the defense did fine though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
they
think
did.
I think
It
the Saints
wasn't-
put the foot on the brake, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, they still only gave up 9 points.
yeah.
You can't ask for
a couple
more.
of those big plays came on,
So how many turnovers? Let me go back to that game. How many turnovers did the Bucs end up with? And the reason and because it put them on short field, it put the defense on a short field.
the fumble and the interception.
That's right.
But the interception was basically game over at that point anyway.
Yeah. But what I've seen from this defense, the defense did what they needed to do. No touchdowns.
Ever since Carlton Davis has been back, looking great.
And you just don't have the offense to really complement them and help them get to where they need to get to, which kind of goes back to what I was saying. And guys, tell me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
And I'm going to bring up the devil's name again, but Sean Payton.
Byron Leftwich.
If Sean Payton is the coach of the Buccaneers with the talent that he had after all the injuries, do you guys believe that he manufactures plays or manufactures something to utilize what talent he has?
JC, I said this pregame. If Sean Payton was the Bucs head coach, the Bucs would be. I'd actually believe they'd have a chance at 17-0.
I think
at least 16-1.
I think,
because of the way his mind works.
Yeah, Dennis Allen pretty much went out there and performed what the game plan said, right?
Right.
Not many adjustments were made
at all.
Sean Payton would have made adjustments, and I think
100%.
I think we would have.
They didn't even use Kamara in the second
Sean
half.
Payton was coaching on Sunday, I think the Bucs win. Because I think he would have tried to do some things with Taysom Hill that Dennis Allen didn't feel comfortable with. And I think Taysom Hill probably would have thrown a pick or two. And I think that would have ended up turning in the Bucs' favor.
And I want to say this is not an indictment on BA, because he's letting his coordinators grow, or mainly Byron. He's letting him grow. Like we all have, jobs and stuff. The last thing we want is someone over our heads telling us what to do, exactly how to do it. Byron has to learn if he wants to go take the Jacksonville job, because that's what BA wants. He wants future head coaches.
Yeah, but there's give and take there too, right?
Yeah.
We're competing for a Super Bowl. At what point do you step in and say, hey, these first down runs aren't working for us? And I asked him that a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, first down runs aren't working. He's like, I'm not worried about the runs, or what do you mean you're not worried about
well,
the
no,
runs?
he's definitely involved in everything going on, but in terms of those in-game adjustments.
That's what I'm saying. There's
because if we're sitting on the couch, if we're at home sitting on the couch and we know what's coming, you have to know that the opposing team knows what's coming.
Well, that's the problem sometimes when you have such a dominant team, right? On paper like this, is you feel like sometimes you can just impose your will. We're going to do what we're going to do, and you're going to try to stop us, and we're still going to do it. 2007 Patriots. You know what we're going to do. We're going to do it anyways, and you're going to try to stop us, but you're not going to be able to. Until they ultimately hit the holding call that let Eli Manning throw the winning touchdown, the pass to Tyree.
I remember that.
That holding call that they didn't deserve for that Super Bowl. But I'm going off on a tangent, anyways. But
I remember that too.
That's exactly what I think. Sometimes this offense looks like. I mean, scheming players open. It's just being creative, and we've seen a couple of trickery things like that.
Well, I think Godwin's the only one that schemed open.
What?
I think he's the only guy.
Godwin?
For Byron's history with the Bucs so far.
Who, Godwin?
Yeah. I mean, from the screens to the things over the middle,
because
there's manufactured touches.
Well, that's just the role of the slot receiver. I mean, anywhere you look, Hines Ward, Larry Fitzgerald, Reggie Wayne, Chris Godwin, anywhere you look, that's the position. That's why BA's offense is so weird to have a guy like Gronkin, because he's not a featured asset in that, backs out of the backfield. You look at the backs that they've always had.
Tight ends are just there to block.
Tight ends are just, they're blocking tight ends. But when you have a talent like Gronk, you have to find ways to get them open. And I think that's where you see like the Brady-esque and that marriage coming together. But at the
Do you
same
feel
time,
like Brady's kind of taken a step back as far as
no,
the
God, no.
the scheming and the plays and stuff?
No,
Has he
he was
been
the best player on
perfect?
the
No, but
football field.
his performance is still elite in my
He
eyes.
was the best player on the football field on Sunday. Everybody else let him down. His offensive line, the young wide receivers, they let him down. And even Gronk, 3 to 4 drops. Godwin had a drop.
Mhm.
You know,
Bray.
Evans couldn't get off press. Darden couldn't get off press. Bray dropped the 2 ball. You know, so he was on point. You know, John Ledger was saying this the other day. Earlier today, rewatching the tape for him, he looked better than he did in the game against the Bills. You know,
yeah, and with that, like, I mean, plug you guys. I mean, Ledger dropped the all 22 essentially,
yeah.
and basically, I mean, I was at the game. I was sitting in one of the end zones, and during the game I thought Brady had a pretty bad game. Just from the onset, but then when you actually turn on the tape and you see the windows that he's throwing into, given the amount of pressure that he's under, and I think you get a true appreciation because, for instance, I mean, we're always going to throw Jameis Winston on this podcast. Jameis Winston would have tried to escape that pocket and made something happen. The fact that Brady stayed in the pocket and still made those throws as well as he did, I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah, and that's where Jameis would end up having turnovers. You know, running around trying to escape it. Either instead of taking a 7-yard sack, it would have been a 20-yard sack, or he would have, fumbled, or would have been thrown in an interception. Brady knows when. You saw him throw it away multiple times. The receiver just couldn't get open. They couldn't beat the guys. They just couldn't get open. And when they could get open, they dropped the ball, or they ran the wrong route, or they slowed up on a route, or
Demario Davis made a hell of a tip that almost was a pick. Yeah. That was going to be a perfect pass to Gronk over the middle. And, they get paid too. Their man defense stepped up and their pass rush came to play. They didn't blitz, JC. I mean, you already know that. But I mean, like, it was just pressure with 4 the whole game. They played 2-man high. Hey, beat us. Yeah. The Bucs didn't run any crossers. They didn't. They tried to, take a couple deep shots, but Darden ain't ready for the Marshawn Lattimore game. I know we give Marshawn a lot of shit as Bucs fans on Twitter. Marshawn Lattimore in a man scheme, especially with safety help.
Oh yeah,
he's good.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue there too, right? Is that they Bruce's offense is set up to back those guys up, let some things underneath, let that slot guy work underneath by taking those no risk and no biscuit shots. Brady didn't even have time to open up anything underneath. And when he did have stuff underneath, you saw it, especially with that Rojo play, with some of the Fournette plays, they're already there because they didn't have to respect the deep ball because they were getting to Brady so quickly that he couldn't even throw the deep ball. And just, it is what it is, to steal a line from Bill Belichick and Tom Brady himself. We're on to Carolina now.
And that's what you have to do.
You got to leave that game in the past and just move on and say, okay, we've got this challenge coming up. Like I said, that defense for Carolina, they're no slouches. They're gonna.
And sometimes it's good to get punched in the mouth the way that they. And you know what? If it's the Saints who have to punch us in the mouth for us to wake up, then it is what it is.
We've been saying that all season, man. We have not seen a game from the Bucs. A complete game, all 3 phases where everything has been clicking, everything's been on. We have not
for 4
seen
quarters because the Bills did it. We did it for 1 half.
And the craziest thing is we didn't see that last season at all
until the Super Bowl.
So, like, what is going on here? Last year you had an excuse. This year there's no. I mean, you could use injuries. I mean,
but right now that's defense though too.
Yeah, the amount of injuries that hit the secondary, I mean, that's just, you can make an excuse for that. I mean, we've been injured in the secondary. But, I mean, once they get everyone back, and they won't because Godwin's now gone for the year. Once they get everyone with Godwin back, I mean, they're not clicking on offense and defense. And it looks like the defense is turning the corner now. Play JTS more.
Oh, please. Please, we're talking about this.
Here we go.
JTS, man, he's playing half the snaps of Shaq and is literally having just as much impact as Shaq. And, we're Shaq Barrett apologists on this, hashtag Team Barrett. Like, this is literally what we were wanting out of a first-round pick. This, gentleman, is why you don't pick a running back in the first round, is because you can get a talent like JTS. And then, you know what? Yes, you're paying JPP $10 million or whatever, But you know what? We need
in.
production.
$12 million for JPP.
Okay, even better. I don't care.
He's got to get more touches.
JPP's playing on one arm, like no hands, like this. He's playing through everything. God bless JPP. God bless him.
It does.
JTS needs to play.
Fractured finger, torn rotator cuff,
injured spine, injured
and I
neck.
think everyone is appreciative of what Jason Pierre-Paul has done, for this team and what he continues to do. But you got to look at the tape, and it's fun.
It's been going on for a month too.
And the funny thing is, a month ago, Bruce was asked about that, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to get him more snaps." Well, they've got him more snaps, but still not enough. I mean, you look at what he's been able to do, and if you haven't, I'm going to plug. If you haven't jumped over to Pewter Report and read John Ledyard's article about JTS and the madness that is him not starting or playing is insane.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. And again, they watch 10 times more tape than we do. I would think that the Buccaneers would recognize this and take advantage of it, because you really need that's a guy you really need. He needed to get the touches now to be ready for the playoffs, because I'm telling you, his number is going to get called in the playoffs at some point where they're going to need something from him. So I don't know and again, I'm not a head coach, I'm not a GM, but I will say this: if it's me, JTS, as much as I can sprinkle him in there, I can take JPP out and put him in and just rotate him. That's a luxury.
Well, you want to know what's even better, Gene? He has great pass rushes from the inside.
Yeah,
he holds up well, both outside and inside.
Even if you split JTS and JPP right now, I think that's the way to do it. And I know JPP, he's not going to want to come out. He's got this ego. He's the energy, as the coaches would say. He's the energy for the team. They said it when he was out there, missing JPP's energy. And, I get it. I get all that. But at the same time, when does energy versus effectiveness come into play? Amen. And you need players who are effective. And that's what JTS has been, been proven to be. It's so funny because, he probably wasn't going to be the pick, to be honest with you. If there are two guys still left on the board.
So who are the two guys that we're talking about? Because I'm really curious to
they're offensive skill players.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've heard, and what I've been told,
I heard Najee was one of them.
No, Najee was not.
Ooh,
Najee was not. Najee was off their board, from what I heard. Ooh. Najee had a very interesting.
Oh wait, no, excuse me. ETN was one of them. I'm sorry, I mixed him up. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said Najee when I meant ETN.
From what I heard, Najee was off the board for a very interesting Zoom pre-draft meeting. But yeah, it was Travis.
He's an interesting character, so I'm not surprised.
ETN and Kadarius Toney were two of the guys that they're looking at.
That one's intriguing.
Yeah, they're looking at, I guess, really closely due to their home run threat ability.
Well, given that how well he's done in New York with literally the worst, I'm complaining about Byron. I would take him over. I'm not going to say his name because we all know who he is, and I don't want him to ever get a really job ever again because he's ruined everything.
He that will not be named.
How about this? He's literally the offensive Jeff Fisher. That's all we're going to say. Like this guy, Kadarius Toney, is making an impact in that offense. Like, put him with Bruce. That's fun. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy we got JTS at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's gonna be at least a Pro Bowler, I think.
But I think that's a hint for what maybe we're thinking next year from Bruce's standpoint, because even with the salary, I mean, it's going up. The Bucs aren't the most pristine of shape. They still have to bring back the guys like Sue, Godwin. You have to Godwin and Davis.
Yeah, you're looking at three guys on the defensive line, four guys on the defensive line that might be up for, you got Will Golston, you got Sue, you got McClendon, Sue and McClendon, two of the two oldest defensive tackles in the league. They might retire, right. Especially if somehow they win a chip this year. They'll probably ride off in the sunset. Sue's got if you follow him on Twitter, he's got plenty of stuff going on.
That guy's got money.
Yeah, in the business world.
Oh, and friends too.
Two twins too. So I think you're looking at those, that position. CD3, I think he's going to be a priority. I think Godwin, as Bud Cannabis is saying, I think CD3, Godwin, those are priorities. I think.
If you follow me on Twitter, you already know what I think of Godwin.
Yeah, I think you're looking at a guy like Jordan Whitehead. what he brings to this defense, especially if Todd Bowles remains the defensive corner. I think he's a priority.
Talk to your boy Ledyard. When he first got here, he was ripping Jordan Whitehead for his coverage ability.
Oh, he loves him now.
Oh, he loves him now. That's what I'm saying. Give him shit for what he said 2 years ago, because before Ledyard knew who I was like, Ledyard, watch Jordan Whitehead. That's all I said to him.
So, but I think, with those moves, you're probably looking at the first 3 rounds. Look, and I can't wait to get into the draft. I've started doing a little bit, but I cannot wait. I think you're looking at
can't wait till after the playoffs.
You're looking at running back, defensive tackle, cornerback, probably in those first 3 rounds. That's what I would think you'd see.
Yeah,
I think they need a cornerback day too.
KB are already in the 2030 draft, man. You're way behind. So.
That big boy who ran over some people. Yeah, oh yeah, he's already top of the board.
Yeah, we've already got him. We're looking at him, man. We're checking out. We've got this covered, man.
Yeah, so, draft should be a lot.
Real quick, again, and I don't want to get too far ahead in the future, but are there any players that you see that could put that you think in your mind might potentially not be here, like
a bunch,
like
let's hear him. Well, OJ, but who else you thinking?
OJ, I think you're looking at
OJ won't be here.
OJ Howard's definitely gone. Rojo's definitely gone. I think you're looking at Fournette. If he prices himself out, he could be gone. I think they like what he's been doing.
I got an interesting name for both of you. Kappa.
Kappa. Yeah, I was getting there. Kappa's probably gone. He'll get a nice size. I mean, if you're looking at it, you're already paying $10 million, plus to Marpet and to
Jensen and Smith.
Well, Jensen will be a free agent, but Smith so you're only going to play one more of those guys, right? And if it's going to be anybody, it's probably going to be Jensen. I know you've had rookie Robert Hainsey practicing at center all year, but you can slide him over at guard, I think, or you've got Nick Leverett. You've got
Aaron Stinney. You can sign again as well.
You can re-sign as well, or you can dip into the draft or a low market free agency, because you're plugging them against the guy next to Jensen and Wirfs. You just need someone who can
consistent.
Exactly. That's not saying Kappa has been good, but he's not all world. He's not fifth in Pro Bowl voting for guards because he's been great. Because his last name starts with a C is why. Second year.
Isn't Trent Williams like 7th or something last I saw on that?
So I mean, I think Kappa. I think you re-sign Jensen and you let Kappa hit. He'll probably go somewhere and get at least. I
would say at least 8 is the floor.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at
10 if someone like Jacksonville or like a small team or team that just needs to build and they have the cap.
24 is like the minimum, I think. 3 for 24, 5 for 36, something like that. I don't know. I mean, definitely, he'll probably get paid.
Oh, absolutely,
because he's physical too.
But I'm going to say this. I'm going to go on record saying this. You heard this right here before we even hit the postseason or anything. The Bucs will not end up like they did when Jason Light first got here.
No.
When Jason Light first got here, when the cupboard was bare. I know that
they still have good cap space.
Yeah,
and they can still maneuver it.
Yeah, most definitely, because as Michael Pless says, the salary cap is a myth. And I think the I think the New Orleans Saints have proven that time and time again. Even though
until your quarterback retires. Because then you got to pay all that dead money that you've been pushing.
even if they choke in the playoffs every year, if they're overcompensating for players, but they still find a way to get these premier players to come in, and they're over the cap at the end of every year, but they still find a way to the next year do what they need to do.
While we're on the Saints real quick, I mean, they've beaten us with basically 3 quarterbacks. So they obviously had Jameis. They had Simeon in that first game, and then obviously Hill. I know, Sean Payton has the thing with Hill, but we keep hearing the Russell Wilson. I was talking to T. Smitty about this earlier. You hear the Russell Wilson rumors. You hear the Aaron Rodgers rumors. Do you see either of you, New Orleans, making that kind of move? Because in my head, for instance, they don't have the draft capital. They'd have to give up players. I mean, we saw what they've done to the Bucs twice with not the greatest roster that they've had in the past decade.
The biggest thing for the Saints is how they maneuver to be able. I definitely see it, how they maneuver to it. They're negative $60 million for next year. They have a lot of maneuvering to do, a lot of manipulating of the cap to do. Whereas, other teams, Denver's at the top of the top 10 in the league with cap space. Yeah. That's an interesting position for either one of those quarterbacks. You've got other places as well.
Hey, the Giants got 2 top 10 picks right now.
Giants got 2 top 10 picks. Philly, they sold on
2 top 10.
Hey,
they got
you got to consider who their general manager is. That guy.
Well, no, but the general manager might be gone though. And remember, if they let's say trade for someone like Russ, they're not beholden to Joe Judge. They're probably going to let Russ get his guy.
Exactly.
So,
the Bucs,
we're looking at like their Chargers for 2022.
Chargers have the most cap space, yeah.
Well, and they also have a rookie quarterback, so that's a Godwin situation. If the Bucs need to get into a bidding war.
So Tampa is sitting at number 16 currently.
32 million available.
Yeah, but geez,
which isn't bad. And
it really isn't. It really isn't.
And the void years too allow them to do a lot of different things.
Well, and also the expectation that the cap's probably going to hit the cap max the following year as well gives general managers the more state of mind. Hey, I can still push some more off, and no, hey, it's gonna go up another 25, 30 million again.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's still a lot of stuff that hasn't happened. We're still not even into the playoffs yet, so we don't know what's truly going to happen.
But with Godwin, do you anticipate do you think, I'm not going to say discount, but do you think there's going to be a bidding war this offseason for Godwin, JC?
Oh, go ahead.
Gene, whoever wants to answer, sorry.
I think Gene can go first.
I think there will be. I know we see what Mike Evans has done. Mike Evans is the gold standard wide receivers. I mean, as far as the Bucs go, he's a gold standard just because he wants to stay here and he wants to win. I'm still not sure that's the mindset of Chris Godwin. I'm just not. So I could see Chris Godwin ending. That's why I was so adamant this offseason that Godwin could be gone, because I could see him going somewhere else. I mean,
I don't think he leaves us for Jacksonville, but if Indianapolis comes calling, if the Chargers, if a team who's on the rise is interested, I think he's listening.
I think there's a few different varying factors with Godwin, and I think that he loves it here. I know him and his wife love it here. They've said, the outpouring support that they've gotten, that they've received, a bunch of people.
How about that story about his foundation that came out?
I was about to say the foundation, if you haven't heard about it, the CG Chris Godwin's foundation, people have been pouring in $14 donations, as
literally broke their website.
And I mean, he definitely loves it here. I'm pretty sure they don't want to go anywhere cold. Warm weather destination.
And they're Pennsylvanians.
Yeah, lifestyle and Delawareans. Lifestyle is definitely, I think, part of the issue. But at the same time, you mentioned Mike Evans. Mike Evans has done great things, and he's been paid. He's probably underpaid at this point. But, and everyone wants to say, oh, Mike Evans takes pay cuts. He's never taken pay cut. Let's get that straight.
He got his money up front.
He gets his money up front. All right, he's getting paid. So it's not like I don't want to hear people be like, "Oh, Mike Evans takes pay cuts. Why can't Chris Godwin?" So get that out of your head. Mike Evans got paid.
No, what Mike Evans did was when he signed near the top of the market 4 years ago, he never said, "Cry me a river, now pay me the top 3% again." No, he's taken his contract, and then when it's up again, I'm sure the Bucs are going to take care of him.
Yeah, and just to answer a quick Bucs skull gang in the house, Bucs could tag Godwin, but it's going to come with a hefty increase. But I think you're looking at Godwin's numbers probably around 20 million anyways. I mean, 18, I think 18 is the floor. I think the Bucs are going to have to pay him, top of the market value. I don't think he's not at DeAndre Hopkins 27 million a year, but I think $20 million a year is right in the ballpark. I think the Bucs probably want to pay him what they're paying Evans, and if they can't come to a middle ground, then I think he'd be open to leaving. I think he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay here. He's got his family here. He's got roots here. His foundation's here. His friends, this is his team. But at the same time, you look at the situation, and he's had multiple injuries over the course of his year. He's only had 1 year where he's really been healthy throughout. He's finishing up his contract, and you've got to get paid, and some players had that mindset of, $15 million a year is fine. But, $15 million a year is never $15 million a year. You got taxes. You've also got, agent fees. You got this and that. So, I mean, I always say it like that's not a lot of money. You end up with 10 million on 15. But at the same time, you got to get paid to what you're worth,
Yeah.
Well, it's also you don't know how many contracts you're going to get in this league.
Exactly, especially with injuries. Now he's got a torn ACL.
So 2014, 2012, I'm sorry, 2019, 2020, and 2021, he's not played the full season.
Yeah.
First 2 seasons in the league, 2017, 2018, he didn't play all the games. So.
Exactly. But you know what he can do, and you know what he can do specifically in this offense.
100%.
And
and his intangibles
in a different offense is yet to be seen. But you know how pivotal he is in this offense. I think the Bucs ultimately get it done.
I don't think Brady is going to want him to test that water because
they're gonna have to pay him.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to pay
and
him.
I honestly believe it'll work out. I would have to guess because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I have to believe that Tampa is testing the waters to see what's going on right now. They have to be just to know, how to gauge all this. But
there's no one out. Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
What I was going to say is because when you look at what Chris Godwin does, you look at the intangibles, not just the box scores, but away from the ball, being able to block. And you watch his route running. Since AB has been here, his route running is night and day better than what it was when he was a rookie.
It was already good.
It was already good, but it's just gotten that much better. Yeah. I mean, he's the guy that sells his route like he's going to get the ball. He's not like Deshaun Jackass, who's like, oh, I'm not getting the ball. So let me shave his route off a little bit so I can hurry up and get back to the huddle. This guy is selling his route. This guy is going out and blocking. He's in front of a running back.
He's blocking defensive ends and linebackers.
He's
not.
Exactly.
I've seen him even block D tackles, man.
Yeah,
I've seen him block Aaron Donald before.
Yeah, he's doing what this is what a true wide receiver in this NFL, this era's NFL should be doing. And you don't see it very often. And just to have somebody like him with the mindset that he does, I mean, the intangibles alone tell me that you got to pay this guy. You got to keep him here. He was a steal. I mean, if you redid the draft, redid the draft, what was it, 2016? 2016 draft? Is that right?
He's going in the first round.
Yeah, he should have gone. He would have gone if they.
Well, he had the huge game against USC, and I forgot the name, the Rose Bowl, and he still went into the third round. Remember, we drafted Justin Evans even before Chris Godwin. Shout out if you are a Bucs fan and you remember who Justin Evans was, who picked off Tom Brady.
Yeah,
don't mind you.
Yeah, I think I see some people talking about tags and 2 first-round picks and.
Yeah, we're too far.
No one's ever gonna do that whole 2 first-round pick.
Not for a wide receiver. It has to be for a quarterback at that point. They're not going to do it. I mean,
that instance is not going to happen for a while.
Maybe Seattle might be interested. Who knows?
Well, they don't even use their first-round picks, so would they? They trade them away like hotcakes.
Yeah,
and I keep hearing that Russell Wilson is going to end up being a New Orleans Saint at some point.
Hey, all I'm saying is Sierra might like her some New York. That's all I'm going to say.
This is true.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out too. But I think Godwin stays. I think now that Godwin, I was going back and forth before who gets the franchise tag. Do they tag Godwin again?
I don't think they
negotiate from there, or do they tag CD3? I think it's going to be Carlton Davis now.
He gets the tag. I mean, I'm gonna go on record saying that right now. I think CD3 gets the tag.
Yeah, I think you're looking at paying at least minimum $32 million, $30 million between those 2 players this offseason. And they're both really pivotal. Especially with Sean Murphy Bunting, he's a great guy, personally. But he's really had some struggles on the field this year.
And then Dean can't stay on the field.
And Dean hasn't been able to. I mean, Dean has been amazing this year. Like, you want to talk about a player who took the jump, most improved player for this team. For me, it goes to Dean, hands down.
But if you talk to this guy here, he's been singing his praises like even before he.
Well, it's because it's hard being a cornerback too in this league when CD3. Remember 3 years ago, people were saying CD3 was too physical, committed too many pass interferences,
Yep.
was too slow. Well, Dean will never call too slow, but what is he? He's been too handsy last year and the year before. He, was get double moves.
Yeah,
Like he
beat him
has
up
his own
a little,
things. Like, but what has he done when he's been CB1? I think it takes that pressure off because they're looking at the other side of the field instead of keying on him. And I think the Saints have already proved it, and then the playoffs as well. And at the end of the season, even last year, people are going after Sean Murphy Bunting. That's the one that
Yeah.
everyone has circled to attack.
Mhm.
And yes, he made the interceptions in the playoffs. But take away those 3 plays.
Bucs Bill Gang is going to lose his mind if we don't answer. If we think the Bucs will bring Gronk back next week, I think Gronk probably comes back. I mean, it all depends on injury wise. But
I think Gronk, when he comes back next year, I think that's just going to be when he starts his player decline. Yeah. I think he's going to be a little bit more of a blocker next year.
Yeah.
I still think AB is going to be back because this whole COVID thing, and he's still wacko in the brain.
Cam Brate's going to restructure
and with OJ gone, Cam Brate makes more sense. And then what do? You bring in a blocking like a Darren Fells. You bring in someone like that. You draft a guy in the 5th round.
Draft a tight end, 4th, 5th round. Yeah, I mean that's what I would love to see.
Can we count on you like in the off season to come in just and give some ideas of who you think would be a good fit for
absolutely
the Bucs? I'm glad you've always been a friend of the show. I've always enjoyed having you on. I love your insight, and you're always welcome on the show. I mean, just hit me up on Twitter. Hey, just shoot me a link so I can come on with you guys. You're always welcome on here.
I love shooting the breeze with y'all.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Much love for all of you. Before I go, I just want to answer the Kyle Trask because I know there's a lot of people who are still upset with the Kyle Trask pick in the 2nd round. What are we doing? We could have had a cornerback. We could have had this. We could have had that. Do I think Kyle Trask is the future? I can't answer that wholeheartedly.
Until year 4?
No, not only that. I can't answer that wholeheartedly without seeing him in the preseason next year. I need to see what he's been able to do, how he's developed with a year
not with 4th stringers. I want to put that one out there.
For me, the thing about Kyle Trask is, and you guys know I'm from New England. If you don't, whatever, that I moved down here, so I followed the Patriots very closely. What Belichick always did, and what he always preaches, is having developmental quarterbacks. You look at what he did with Ryan Mount, the 3rd round. You had guys like Jimmy Garoppolo. You had guys like Jarrett Stidham. You had
Matt Castle.
Matt Castle, the 6th round pick, or 7th round pick. But still, you're always.
So is Brady.
It's never a bad idea to bring.
They just paid Drew Bledsoe when they drafted Brady. I'm just throwing that one out there.
Yeah, I mean it's never a bad idea to get developmental quarterbacks in the building. When a guy like Kyle Trask, who looks like he can really fit this system well, what BA likes to do well, is available in the 2nd round, and you're kind of looking at the board, and I think it was a no-brainer. Especially you're not sure about Tom Brady. If you think this guy has an inkling, and what they said, for quarterbacks we look above the shoulders, from the neck up. Check up from the neck up. And Kyle Trask has done that for them.
And Kyle Trask, one thing I've mentioned on this podcast, JC, curious to hear your thoughts. When we hear of quarterbacks even in the 2nd round, if they feel like mentally they should be the starter, they check out, they are divas, they're this, they're that. Kyle Trask, we've already seen him be a backup at the high school level. We've already seen him be a backup at the college level. That's someone who can sit behind Brady and not. I'm not saying Garoppolo did this or Brissett did this, but there has to be that little bit of an inkling. Okay, so when's my turn?
Yeah,
I want my turn now.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, you look at that. I mean, those guys.
It's an ego thing. They're athletes. They believe in themselves.
I mean, those guys sat until it's time to trade him. Jimmy Garoppolo, say what you want about him. He's brought a team to a Super Bowl, lost the Super Bowl, but brought a team to a Super Bowl.
One throw away,
he's
5
got the
inches.
San Francisco 49ers back in the hunt for the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
You look at a guy like Jacoby Brissett, started for Indy for a while and almost beat you in the Miami game until the Bucs turned it around in the 2nd half. Right. Escaped a lot of sacks. I mean, these are some of the guys. Ryan Mallett never did anything. Matt Castle did a whole bunch, though. And you look at Brian Hoyer, he's played for half the teams in the league. He was an undrafted guy.
Journeyman.
Kevin O'Connell, who was a quarterback they drafted, is now an offensive coordinator in the league. So, they've got, it's always good to invest in quarterbacks. It's always good to have young quarterbacks in the room. You never know what they could be. And at the very least, a la Jacoby Brissett, they can get you a piece that can win a Super Bowl like they did with Philip Dorsett, so.
The way I see it, you got to hit the trenches. The Bucs neglected the trenches for so many years. I mean, you could go back to after the
defensive line's got to be a target.
Yeah.
I think Will Golson comes back, but you got to,
But you have to be setting up pieces that guys can come in and
Smart Water.
I'm gonna let you get
my sponsor in there.
I'm gonna let you get your shot in here in just a minute. But you gotta get these pieces in place because this isn't forever. You look at Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett may end up going somewhere else. JPP, you don't know where you are with him. I think you're looking at Vita Vea. What a great centerpiece to build a defensive line around. And Joe Tryon, JTS, just having him in there. Devin White. I mean, you've got pieces in place, but you still need to continually still be.
And Jason's done a great job.
Yeah. He has. And I'm going to trust the process. I'm just putting that out there that this is what needs to happen. I think what the Ravens did for years was address both sides of the trenches with players like
Saints
Ryan
too.
Yeah. And people you don't even think about, but until you see them playing and you're like, oh, wow, they did a great job with that. And that's where the Bucs mindset needs to be. They can't end up like where they were in 2014.
I mean, how many people, remember that the Saints traded 2 first-round picks for Marcus Davenport and care. He's been great on the field.
Yeah.
And
he has.
And before they drafted Kamara, they took Trey Hendrickson and Ryan Ramczyk.
Yeah. So, I mean.
And they said that he was a project. The draft board, everybody was saying that Davenport was a project.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't going to be – he was rough around the edges, and look what he's done.
Yeah, the draft is an exact science, and I hear people talking about O.J. Howard over Dalvin Cook. And O.J. Howard, no, you cannot trade O.J. Howard for anything. His contract expires. You'd have to re-sign. No one's going to trade anything for him. You're not getting a 5th. You're not getting anything for O.J. Howard. He's going to leave. Depending on the contract, maybe you'll get a 7th-round compensatory pick the following year, but O.J. Howard's not getting anything. And, yeah, I mean, Dalvin Cook, that would be one thing that Bucs fans will always look out and say, but the draft is an exact science.
There's players. Also Duran and Vita. Not everything
let's not even bring
is exact. But what I'm saying is Duran's a great player. Just OJ didn't. He had the potential. Mm-hmm. He just didn't turn the corner. Dalvin was hurt his first couple of years. People forget that.
But this is the thing, though.
Always hurt.
This is the thing. When you looked at that. When you looked at the defensive line when Vita Vea was drafted, that was a must. It needed to happen.
Yeah, but I can tell you right now, Mike Smith didn't want him. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, look at that guy, that clown letting
he didn't fit a Mike Smith defense. Still. Okay. Sorry, JC, we're going to let you shout out what you need to shout out.
Oh, no, I'm just going to say I'm going to I got to run anyways, but I want to say honestly, I think the Bucs can beat Carolina even with the depletedness. I think they'll have a game plan ready to go. I think the defense will step up and shut them down. I don't expect it to be a blowout. I expect it to be a lower scoring game. But I do think the Bucs will pull it through. That offensive line was embarrassed last week, embarrassed this week. Kicking game has got to perform better. I think they will. The defense, if they get Mike Edwards back or if they get even Antoine Winfield, they're in a better position. Obviously, without Levante, that hurts. But maybe the coaching staff hears everyone screaming from the rooftops about JTS and he gets some more snaps. I think they'll get enough to be done. I don't have a score prediction yet. Look at the Pewter Report preview and predictions. We'll have that out.
Do you drop them on Friday or Saturday?
It'll be Friday. We'll have our score predictions out there. But I think they do enough to win. These are 3 must-win games for them. You can't fall into the 4th seed. You don't want that matchup. Someone mentioned in the comments earlier against San Francisco. I think the way that their offense matches up against this defense is pretty well. So I don't think you want to get that matchup. And you need to get second round something happens to the Packers because I don't think the Packers have looked invincible. It's not like Packers.
Well, they're also not healthy either.
Yeah, the Packers are the 1 seed, but I don't think they're like the 1 seed, like head and shoulders above the field. The record may have them.
It's just the week that they
had. They have all the tiebreakers too. They need to lose twice for everyone else to even have a sniff of that.
I'm just saying in the divisional round. I think you need that number 2 seed, because if the Packers somehow get upset, you want that game coming here.
The only thing that stinks though about the 2 seed, and don't get me wrong, I'm 100% with you. If you're not going to get the 1 seed, you need the 2 seed because you want to play home until you even have to, or before you have to go to Lambeau. But the 7 seed, the Saints are hovering there. It's a 3-team race for that one spot.
But I think you'll be fine. The thing about me is I don't necessarily. Everyone's like, oh, you got to go to Lambeau, got to go to Lambeau, got to go to Lambeau, got to go to Lambeau.
They could lose round 1.
Says who?
Yeah.
Says who? They almost
says Mike Florio, JC. That's who.
They lost the Saints. They almost lost against. They almost lost against the Ravens. Who Mike Florio said?
Mike Florio tweeted that GIF of Jack Nicholson in the shine, like he's all like frozen out.
Oh, that one.
It was like, Bucs, like get ready to go there essentially after the loss.
I saw that. You mean like last? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, last year you guys didn't get to experience this, and that's the picture of Jack Nicholson.
We did. Just know. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I think Lambeau with fans. I don't think the weather's an issue, but with the fans, is definitely going to be different energy, and you want to avoid that. But I don't necessarily think that the Packers. I'm not writing them in. I'm not writing them in the NFC Championship game. They still got to get through a divisional round, and I think that's going to be difficult. Whatever matchup they get is going to be difficult, and they have shown susceptibility as well. So I mean, there's no one in the NFL that we can look at and point like, oh, watch out for this team. Yeah. I mean, watch out. This team is definitely going to the Super Bowl. This team is on fire. This team is. I don't think we've got that. Yeah, the Packers might have the best record, but to me, are they far and away the best team? No.
For this week, just that game that they had really puts them there. But they could, they could fall off next week. You just don't know. And I think what it's going to come down to is a team that could get in and knock Rodgers on his ass. If he's on his ass a bunch of times, he's not the same quarterback. He's not that.
Well, his toe, Gene. His toe.
Yeah. You dialed it up last year.
Yeah.
Shaq got off to him 3 times, right? Or was it Shaq that got him 3 times?
I think Shaq was twice, and then JPP had one. I think Sue had one.
Yeah. So
he hates Sue.
Yeah, it was 5 sacks total or something like that. So yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think, yeah.
Hey, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, guys, follow me. Pewter Report.com. We've got tons of articles. I got a couple of them out there. Yep. And on our Twitter, you can follow me personally on Twitter at JC Allen, ALLEN, JC Allen NFL. Right now, I've really triggered some New England fans. If you want to get a good laugh. Okay. I wrote a thing. I don't know if you guys see it if you're on Twitter or whatnot, but I wrote a thing. It was like, Dear Edelman, how are you? Hope everything's good. Come to Tampa. It's warm. Signed your friend JC Allen. And
the real Josh Allen.
Yeah,
the real Josh Allen.
Co-signed by Braden Gronk. I had someone tell me to, JC, why don't you go fall down a flight of stairs? These Patriots fans, and they're my people. Like, I don't think they know that I'm from New England. Like, I'm just joking around. Like, Jules, stay up there. Your knees are shot. Like, I don't want any bone on bone. You had no cartilage. Stay up there. But
have some fun. It's
last week I pissed off Jaguars fans after the firing of Urban Meyer. I was like, just move the franchise already. Oh, they came after me. They came after me hard.
Well, then they should go to some games then.
But I also put something out there about Larry Fitzgerald too. And that, I mean, it's.
The Larry Fitz thing is just because I mean he's probably toast at this point. It was more of like a physical thing. It was like because Tyler Johnson ain't blocking.
It's not a real thing. Like, I don't think Larry Fitzgerald's coming out of retirement. I don't think Jules is coming out of retirement. Like, I'm just like, okay, let's just, hey, you're in shape, but people, man, Sammer got so mad. It's not hard to make Sammer mad, but he's like, a lot of fans want Julian Edelman down here. He's got no knees and he doesn't fit the system. I'm like, relax, guys. I was like, it's just a joke. It's just I don't want Jules down here. And I can't put on there like, hey guys, this was just like a sarcasm joke because everyone's like, well, it's not funny.
Just do a second comment right underneath it with the chick from WandaVision with the wink.
Yeah. It was Agatha.
Agatha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
but I'm like,
along.
man, I'm still laughing about some. Why don't you just go follow down a flight of stairs? I was like,
Oh, wow.
just because I said Julian Edelman should come back, everyone's like, he's got his. They're like, it says Forever Foxborough on his banner. Why would he do that? He's like, if he leaves the Patriots for New England, he's gonna lose out all of his money from Pats fans. That's how he's making. I'm like, guys, it's not real.
You want to know what's
But
nuts
you're just
though?
having
Brady
fun with it,
pays
man.
a year, or I think he can do it in 2 for sure. If Brady plays 2 more years, Mike Evans will be his number 1 touchdown or second touchdown guy behind Gronk.
They're
He's gonna pass that
so
on.
upset that Gronk and Brady are down here still. Like you mentioned any Patriot. If they sign any Patriot, I don't care who it is.
But you guys, they got Mac Jones.
They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose it. Mac Jones is the truth, man. I love Mac. I love me some Mac Jones. He's a little bit limited. But
they're tripping about.
Ever since he strutted, it was like he was made for Belichick. Like in the draft day, as soon as he got drafted, he did that strut to go see Goodell. Like he was made for Bill.
But all right, guys, I gotta run.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I really
all
appreciate
hopped up on Celsius now. This thing's got 300 milligrams of caffeine. It's 8 o'clock at night. I don't know what I'm gonna build some bikes for Christmas.
There you go, man. Put them presents.
Merry Christmas to you and the rest of your family, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas to all the viewers watching. Guys, there's a lot to be thankful for this year. I know it's not Thanksgiving, but Merry Christmas. Jesus' birthday. Hopefully it's not a lame one. The next day we've got the Bucs going against Carolina. We gotta, they gotta pull out a victory. I think they will. Confident they can pull it together, but Merry Christmas to you and yours, and I'm sure I'll talk to you on the Twitterverse, so I won't wish you a Happy New Year. But all the fans,
just don't fall down some stairs, please.
Hey, and again, you're always welcome on, man. I enjoy your insight, and thank you for coming on, taking the time.
No problem. My wife's gonna kill me. I said I'll be on for 20 minutes. It's been an hour. She's like, yeah, I know how your 20 minutes goes. I'm like, well, then you know that I'll be with more than 20 minutes. So let's just pretend that I never said 20 minutes in the first place.
Tell the missus thank you for letting us borrow you for a little bit. We appreciate that.
I will. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Let's go, Buc.
Yeah. Well, this was entertaining, man. I love this, man. It's great when we can do stuff like this. Guys, you will start seeing Buc What You Heard on iTunes now. As soon as the show is available, I will get it shot up there to iTunes, and you'll be able to check it out. You should be able to see it in the morning, if you're able to. And I do want to take this time to thank everybody in the chat. King Cook, Emily, Goat, James Thomas, Bud Cannibalist, Buck Skull Gang, of course, Buck Skull Gang, Kevin Myers, long time, my friend. Getting to hear from you. And if I've missed you, I apologize. And we're going to try to do better about having a segment where we can get you guys calling in again. I promise to get that back, because without you guys, the show is not a good show. And I appreciate all your interaction. KB, any final thoughts before we roll out of here?
Just wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. Or Happy Holidays. If Christmas isn't what you celebrate. Just hope the Bucs are healthy. Just get through the next 3 weeks. Go 3-0, 2-1, absolute worst case. Just don't get all caught up in football. It's easy to do, but there's more important things. There's more important people as well.
Absolutely. And to kind of piggyback off of that, hug your loved ones. If you've got any kind of beef with somebody, squash that beef, cook it up and eat it, man. Fix these things. Tomorrow's never promised. With everything that's going on, we just don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen. But I just want you guys to know that I genuinely do appreciate all of you that, took the time to either comment in the chat or just took the time to even watch the show. So I want you to know that you guys are greatly appreciated, and I thank you guys, and I sincerely mean that.
And shout out to Gene, got to number 900.
Yeah, finally, it's been a minute. Hey, if you're not subscribed, please just take a moment and subscribe to the show. I plan on doing a whole lot more remote stuff once I'm able to get to 1,000. I'm just so close, and I'm super excited about this, and I'm really going to put a little bit more effort into the YouTube channel and really making it.
Can I tease them, Gene?
Absolutely.
May not be just Wednesday, everyone.
So look forward to that. But guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And we're gonna go ahead and get out of here.
Shout out Smack Apparel.
Oh, Smack Apparel. Oh, we got to shout out Smack Apparel. Love you guys. Appreciate everything that you guys do for us. You're greatly appreciated. Bucs UK. I figured somebody from Bucs UK would call in. And I want to say shout out to the Saints. I figured some dumbass Saints fan would at least try to call in here, and I was going to put them on blast, but for whatever reason, they're doing whatever else they're doing. So
they're celebrating their Super Bowl, Gene. Yeah. Parade around the bayou.
Yeah, I guess there is a parade in what is it? The French Quarter.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're there. But anyway, all right, we are out of here. Have a good one. Peace.
Don't taunt me.